beings genuinely happy, at bliss, feel like and taste like. And so all you have to do and it's become ritualized with all these hand gestures, what we have to do is think, if every being that existed reached a place where there is no suffering and everything they laid their senses on was just complete beauty, what would that look like? So as we do this thing, imagine that, and that will create a course in your mind. That's called a mandala, and then we do this thing called taking refuge. Let me see, we're starting on class 3, which changes it's a big change from last class. We begin with that. Steve, go.
Sashi
Puki Jishim Metotram Rira Lingshi Yinde Padi Sangye Shindu Mite Duargi Drokun Namda Shima Chuparsho Hidam Guru Ratnamandala Kamniryatayani
Sangye
Chidam Sohi Choknam Lam Janju Bardu Dakmi Dasuchi Dahi Chinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Benjir Sangye Drupacho
Sangye
Chidam Zohi Choknam Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyatsuchi Rahi Chinyen Kipe Sonam Ki Drola Benjir Sangye Drupacho
Sangye
Chidam Zohi Choknam Lam Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyatsuchi Dahi Chinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Benjir Sangye Druparsho. So give yourself a minute just to find a nice meditation posture. Do a quick meditation on the vacuuming sounds upstairs. Or?
Cafe.
Oh, the cafe vacuuming sounds. Okay. The idea here is you just find a place where your body is relaxed. It doesn't have to look in a specific way. It's just a place where you've got at least 3 corners that are holding you up, so you can just forget it for a little while. Your spine is straight is the main thing. Your mouth is relaxed. Your muscles are relaxed. Relaxation is a core foundation for bringing your attention to your mind. Then we just withdraw whatever the mind screams, so scratch my head or do whatever, just ignore it for a little bit, it'll pass. And gradually, as you scan your body for any tension, release it at the thighs, at the torso, at the neck, particularly at the face. And slowly, just bring your attention to the breath. This magic thing that happens automatically with us. This life force that enters and exits our nostril. See, for the first time, you can just observe it. Just watch it as if you've never seen it or experienced it before. can focus on the physical sensation of the air moving your chest up and down, or the tip of your nostril is another place where you can just bring your mind's attention and just let it observe. No forcing, just watching it naturally move through your body. Do a few rounds of that until you begin to feel a deeper sense of relaxation. If your mind wanders, it's a great opportunity just to realize that you can bring it back to where you choose. And in that exercise, you then have power to transform every thought. With that exercise, you recognize that you have the muscle to single pointedly focus on what you choose. The rest is practice. And just as a teaser, see if you can consider what it would feel like to be this being you currently think you are, but without a single instance of upsetness, of worry, of suffering of any kind. Nothing that you don't wish comes to you. And on the contrary, every single thing you encounter just gives you a sense of peace and bliss. See if you can imagine what that would feel like if you could reach that. How would your breath feel? How would sitting feel? How would awareness feel? Whatever comes to mind can be transformed to bliss. How would that feel? Slowly, with that feeling in you, just bring your awareness very gently back to the room. You should be a slightly different person than the person that began the meditation. with that mind, then we can talk about fundamentally transformative things. But before we do that, we get to review what we did last class, so we have context for this class. So for those of you who I haven't met, my name is Hector. I've been a student of Eastern philosophy for over 20 years. I had the great fortune of meeting this place at 3 Jewels. That was my introduction to Eastern thought, and in that time I met my teacher, who was translating for the very first time into the English language the entire curriculum, the Tibetan monk or nun studies in a monastery over 25 years. It had never been done before, and I was part of that process, watching them translate and teach. Translate 25 years of curriculum into a 6-year course called the Asian Classics Institute courses. I took that in the 90s, me with 100 some other people from around the world. And those classes are what are being taught here, 18 courses over 6 years. We are on course 17, which is a summary of the second 5 courses. Does that make sense? Course 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it is, yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, which is a course on wisdom, on bodhisattva vows. So that's what we're going to start today. What's a bodhisattva? What's a vow? Is it what we think it is? And the next course coming up is Death and the Realms. It's a fundamental point of study for Eastern philosophy. Ethics, how does that match up to having an experience of the world that is an enlightened experience? And then compassion. So before we go there, I want you to review the last the last class we did on wisdom. We're going to divide you up into 5 groups of people that were here last Friday. So Supriya, you take this corner. And can you pass this around? You were here, Anthony, you were not. That's right, you had a wedding anniversary. Stephen, can the bunch of people in the middle come and connect with Stephen, and then Rachel, you take that corner over there. Yeah? So we've got Stephen, Supriya, and Rachel. Yeah. And then I'll give you 10 minutes. You might need more to really get to know each other, get to share the ideas that we covered last week, so we know what we're talking about. It's not too, so the discussion now is not too strange. And just share your names, put everybody's names on the list so I can grade everyone's quiz and be nice to each other. Yeah. Can I ask you, there's 2 light switches in there? Yeah, it's that little silver box. If you can turn the second 5 lights on. Yes, turn. Yeah, great. And then, what do you call them? Dim them up. There's a little dimmer on the side of those. Right next to the switch, there's a little tiny dimmer. Just dim them up. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. See how weird? Yeah, excellent. That's better. Welcome.
Now we all
Thank you.
Now we all woke up.
Yeah. Hello.
All right. Hey guys, you ready? Alright. Give the name of the state of mind following the direct perception of emptiness of the path of seeing, and list the 4 objects understood at this point.
Yeah, like what is it?
We have to do that.
Yeah, actually, we do.
First, give the name of the 4 objects. The name of the state of mind following the direct perception of
There is other name in English or in
Tibetan. I'll take either. Yeah. It's got 2 parts, and the second part is wisdom in English. You as well? No, it's got 2 words. The second word is wisdom. Yeah?
Is caused by things that we've done in the past.
Don't you remember that?
The same reason why
You can cheat if you have access to the cheat codes, the answer sheet, if you guys need them. They're online. Yes, I Sophia, I'm happy if you cheat.
Oh, right.
Subsequent wisdom gives you a whole bunch of realizations after you've touched ultimate reality, and those are grouped into 4 ideas. Yes?
You like to call me 4 hours?
Yeah.
I still like to know that.
Of course, we just use the word.
Right. And I also got a definition of this. It says it's standard, no standard, and also for good life.
For good life. No,
Good life.
right. But Arya means a higher being, a higher being. A being has exited something.
So all of them are valid.
If you understand what I mean.
The 4 objects understood.
If no one was there to look at it. Yeah, it would be like the potential.
But the way I know that, I don't know what I'm looking at.
So
I think it's more
based on that, like,
So it is,
the idea is
majority. So
that,
the first one is, for the first time, one perfectly understands that all life is suffering. This is the Arya trait of suffering. The same with So the second one is, so one perfectly understands that his suffering has come from ignorance, especially in the form of the misperception of reality, the bad thoughts that it creates, and the karma inspired by them both. This is the Arya trait of the Arya suffering.
Look at.
It's 2 actual examples.
OMG.
Does that say? Just like that, what is that?
Like this, it's 2 actual examples.
Third one is, one sees directly that it is possible to end suffering. This is the Arya sensation.
Like if I so like there are always Right. So then
Join one of the groups. They just started reviewing last class. I haven't started teaching it. Is it for what? Can you introduce yourself?
The simple, the simple correlation would be that I had experienced someone.
Actual examples of the 4 objects.
I'm just over time, right, into my experience. Being right in pencil.
You guys have actual examples of the 4
Right, so the direct perception of something is like.
So we're trying to give 2 examples of 4 objects.
So we're in a way, we're presenting you I'm looking at this pen is empty, but still, when I look at it, I'm seeing it like it is coming.
Then there's everything else, so those are 4
And then the
3
direct
major ones.
perception and then seeing it for what it is.
So for A is.
Which is lacking that hiddenness
The fact that he
from its own self.
Coming from it.
It's only being forced upon you by your mind. There's nothing in that forcing that experience. And direct perception of emptiness is a complete absorption a reflection of your mind of that solid truth that there's nothing in there, nothing suggesting pain. Yeah.
So I guess that's
Empty.
they want two examples for
And that is like it's not about the pain. That is truth. That word mean the breathing, the realization, everything, and you absorb yourself in that experience. Your mind is a reflection of that.
Not your own death, but love that people that you love.
Sorry, I overheard.
So separate.
the first one would be that, and then the second one would be for validate one to be right and still mind. Seek refuge in mental.
That would be suffering.
Well, those individuals, not someone who's awake, but you have compassion to them.
The reason why it's valid there is that you can understand that this is only a pen because you help someone. Then you understand how to make a reality.
G is the cause of the suffering. Like ignorance.
Yeah, so how do you articulate?
But
you hurting someone, you suffered it.
The answers. One understands that he or she has never had a correct perception at all in any moment of his or her life so far. One understands that all of his or her actions are actually only selfish and self-serving. Even religious studies and rituals and offerings are constantly infected by self-interest, desire, and pride.
Oh, that's what it was.
Is that?
So I guess
So what's the
never had a
standard
correct perception, and that all your actions are only selfish and self-serving. Third answer
So it's the idea that, but the problem.
the end of
The state of mind.
the third is one sees directly that it's possible to end this suffering. This is the art. What do we
So
think?
what is that in English though?
Subsequent wisdom.
You see how many more lifetimes you have to
Hmm?
At the end of nothing in situation before.
No, there isn't. There's one at the end of the past preparation, and which is peak, dependent origination. And then there's one of the coming down from the direct experience, which is
For example,
subsequent wisdom, which is the 16, yeah, which is about Arya truths over 16 plus realizations, which are grouped into 4. Like you can read people's mind. You saw a Buddha. You know what you want to be called. How many lifetimes? That these 16 things are grouped into this thing is suffering. Oh, it's caused by my misunderstanding. Oh, it can stop. The Surah and my part is seeing it stop.
One
And I know what to do to
realizes
stop it.
that he will not be called by his name at that time. One understands that the representations of the Buddha and Tantra deities, such as paintings and statues, have actually come. No, this is still proceeding.
So the more object, how much time do we have?
And statues have actually come eventually.
You got another 5 minutes or so.
Actually saw them.
You can go longer because I know it's a double pager.
So you guys together for our.
We'll read that one again.
He reviewed
I
that.
think you can see how many more lifetimes you have.
The formalization,
Okay, let's go to D. So D is, one says how to understand yourself and especially by use
Yeah, correct.
of the direct perception of emptiness. This is called the art of the path. No, I'm reading the art too, so what do we think of this example?
You know, at least 2 actual examples of 4 objects with 2 actual meditation.
So remember when I described the 16 things, right? It's like the first thing is you meet, when you begin to come down from the direct perception of emptiness, you have a whole bunch, you have the next 10 hours or so where you could read other people's minds. You actually see suffering. That's one example of the first truth. Life is suffering. These people are lying to me, thinking I can sell you a car and take advantage of you. I can read what your intention is. It's so clear. You just planted your own suffering, and you think you're getting away with a lie. You saw the suffering in another person's mind.
So in the context of the question though, what do I write? Like,
What's the
One
question?
has an almost physical sensation of
give us these
bodhicitta,
two actual
of
examples
love
of four
spreading out
objects
to the world
listed
in one's
question
heart.
one.
Yeah, so let's go suffering. Life is suffering, right?
One for a time.
The first thing you do is you realize that you will die. For example, that's one of the things. Your body will die. It's impermanent. It will break down. That's an example. But the way I experience this world, it's suffering. The realization is, oh, I will die so my mom, so everyone else. For real, not like in some distant thing. You actually see it. Then you read another person's mind later on in that day, and you're like, oh my God, everybody is just got garbage in their head, and they think it's good, and it's causing them to try it. That's suffering. Yeah. The second truth is there's a cause to those suffering. Something made that happen. Yeah. One of the exact examples described in subsequent wisdom is the fact that you realize you've never had a selfless thought. That's what caused all the things that get taken away and break down from you. You realize that you've never had a correct thought in your life. Everything you do is colored with misunderstanding, thinking things come this way instead of this way. Those are two examples of the causes of suffering. You're like, oh my God, I'm causing my own garbage. Every way you perceive everything is incorrect, is mistaken, forcing you to act towards it with a mistaken attitude. If I think the happiness is in her sweater, I'm going to steal it. It's the best way to never get a sweater. Yeah. And that causes my suffering, I don't know. So what's the thing out of all the 16 things I covered last week that are experiences of Yeshe? Remember reading people's minds, reading the Dharmakaya, having no doubt, reading other people's thoughts.
So no doubt would be an example
I want you to think about it, right? You meet the Dharmakaya,
Three elements of the
which
situation.
is you see the emptiness of the Buddha's mind, which is the same as yours.
Himself being
What would that be? There is an end to suffering. Mind. Yeah, that wow, there is a path that this can end. I'm clear on it. It's a truth. It's a correct perception. It's not a lie. In your mind, you have these realizations. They're just collected into what you say, life is suffering, it's causing. It's a convenient way to talk about it, but the real experience is not those four, it's the 16 or more on that day after you had this communion with reality.
Why do some things in our world cause other things? For example,
Does that help?
medicine always works, or why are some investment strategies always successful?
Well, medicine doesn't always work.
I think it has something to do with beliefs.
Yeah.
You strongly believe in
Or
The theory here is the person good or bad.
but if you strongly believe that you want this to be simplified, would it come to
Only if you're a Buddha or a psychopath, otherwise no.
Yeah, because that's just.
so could it be belief? It has to be something just like belief in something else, right?
I think it starts with belief first, and then next step is action.
But you can't change your past.
Yeah. So it's like understanding how it works and doing something
Yeah.
to make that
So they're having a situation.
cause it to manifest in your
Yeah.
mind. So, why do some things in our world cause other things? Anybody want to guess that? The first one, why do things change?
D, you mean, right?
That's almost like saying things change because they change.
Because it's true, they do, all things change.
A, B, C is the suffix N. Yeah. I'd say that
For what's in the bucket.
the 7 lifetimes where we can go into.
So what's in the bucket?
Sorry.
I'm just like arbitrary.
No, but I want you all to discuss it and say, does that make sense? In my mind, I've actually realized that I'm causing my suffering. And imagine that became a realization that was unshakable. That would fit into which of those 4. But my mind actually realized that my taking creates my lackness. Yeah? Actually knew it. For sure, not idea, but knew it. That would fall into one of those. And that's what the point of this question really is like, don't just rattle off the 4 truths.
Yeah.
Recognize that they are going to be a moment in your consciousness where you flip your reality and go, oh my goodness, I'm the conductor of this symphony, and I didn't know
You're kind of
it.
like
Because the symphony keeps
in
breaking.
the realm of you're like
You're still in the body, and so you're identifying things and how it
There's a lot.
changes. And this is kind of this is born and dies. And it's kind of lasts, then dissolves.
So,
That's
for
the
like
only
the
entity
suffering
that
that says, one perceives
That's what they
truly,
come up
facts,
with, which
theories,
comes out.
permanent, and must
Quantum
rise.
physics, you know?
For God today, when the
Yeah.
No,
Can you
exactly.
just phrase it one other way?
So it's just basically going
So why does everybody, before studying this, why does everybody
Here,
think
it's
they
like,
have
I think understand.
things? And why do you think, why do we think, well, how do we think things work?
A lot of people don't think things, all things change.
It's here, one
These
understands.
people say, this is eternal. It only lasts for 2,000 years, but it's eternal. That's not eternal. It's just
Well, we're
lasting.
actually only selfish and self-centered.
Or-
I used to think things change. I just thought like
So why do you think things
We
work?
didn't think about it.
yeah, I just like this was like
And I work for
it's just like a lot of
And they
like,
compare
So would you say that's
emptiness.
Do you think things work? I would say most people think things work from their own side, right?
physics standpoint.
Work
That's
from
probably
their own
what it's from the side, yeah, sure.
side, right?
Sure.
That's
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the separate.
Yeah.
okay, so, here's the answer.
Well,
So, the answer is.
There's an end to suffering. If the
So
Buddha.
despite
Yeah,
the fact
the
that
Dharma
we are
Kaya
thinking,
is literally
no,
emptiness.
because of the
Yeah,
fact
and
that we
emptiness is
think
pervasive.
work.
Yeah.
Because, for example, medicine.
And the nature
No
of
other
reality
nature being able
would
to
be
do
that.
anything at all. Aspirin works for some people, and doesn't work for others, depending on their own past use of karma. And it's obvious that we can't take all these investment strategies are more successful than conservative ones, or vice versa. Neither one is successful for a person who's made good karma in the past, and neither one is unsuccessful for a person who has not.
Third, then you.
So this is really just
No, let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it was a third, then there could be a self.
I know, the voice is like,
Is that basically saying that these things are
Emptiness. Well, like I'm trying to think of if there was an end to suffering without a cause to an end to suffering. Like,
because of your karma?
then it would be. Oh, if they're saying 134. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The third is.
it works specifically because it's
Because of their emptiness state.
Yeah, which is the course to the end. The path out is the courses to get out.
The karma is why they work for.
The third is.
I'll give you an example of the.
You actually saw a mind that has no suffering, the Dharmakaya.
But that's what
And then the
we
fourth
label
is
it.
like, but they're not being But in the way that he wrote it in the answer key, it wasn't like the context of a mind, it just said emptiness is the essence body of Buddha.
Yeah,
And
which
so I was saying, if
As if it
emptiness
was
is pervasive,
time from some side, then
Everyone,
And it's
and
quality
everything
that it's
changed because
empty.
of the, no.
then you have to be able to end separate.
That's kind of what you're saying.
It must function that way.
like the vernacular.
I don't understand why.
Because it's empty in nature. So that,
No, something can last eternally.
I'm saying like,
If you don't
it's
understand.
the potential for non-suffering is.
Does every changing thing have emptiness?
If you can see that,
The things
and
are
if you can see that one of the
Is everything
bodies.
Yeah, but thing would encompass everything.
No, you're getting
That
both.
is inanimate and-
I know, I really what happens to me, like, how do I know?
So you see
But only
both,
consciousness
that
can
both
awaken.
of the bodies are empty.
Sure.
This metal, that hand can't be consumed.
That's what one of the numbers. You're getting too detailed, and your job together is to bring everyone up to speed, okay? Not to lose everyone. Okay, your job is to bring everyone up to speed.
And why it didn't work? No, it makes sense.
How are you guys going?
You say thing.
Can you say that, why do things change? They change because they're empty?
They change because things that cause them change. Sorry. You put changing things to make new things, those new things will be changing things.
Yeah.
That's why things change.
So there you go. So, like you said, things change because
Things change. That's really what I told you. Things change because they are caused by things. Yeah.
Things change because of positive causality.
Oh, is it?
Basically saying things change because they're empty.
Well, what that means is because they don't have a nature. I see what he's saying. Because they don't have a nature, they change. Because it's dependent on, arising upon, the mind perceiving it. And that's a changing thing. It's that changing thing causes that changing thing. So my answer still applies. It's because they're empty. He's taking that position. If they were not empty, if this was, if water was inherent in this object, then this would only ever always be water unchanging towards everyone. It wouldn't be moving water, it would just be water, and never a tiny particle that would not be water. It would not be a little bit less water, it would be a little bit more water. It would be an impossible thing. Water that is not changing. Yeah?
It's like having an answer.
That's what the last contract is.
If everything's called, first.
Yeah. Infinity. There's no beginning. And that, yeah, for Western thinkers, that's bizarre. For Eastern thinkers, right? If this caused that, what caused that? That. What caused that? That. That's in fact part of the proof that your mind existed before this body. But your mind came into this body. Yeah, your mind and this body were together at some point. You know, at some point you called yourself a being. You thought yourself, you had a sensation in the womb of warm or something. Your mind had a movement. Yeah. That movement could not have happened without that mind having some moment before that caused that movement. The body couldn't be there without sperm and egg coming together, creating a cell. Two separate continuums changing. And if you do that once, there's never ending. Time without beginning.
So is
We are
that,
infinite beings.
so that's the Buddhist answer, infinite regression backwards?
Yeah.
And that's never an answer on the first end where.
There isn't a first. It's a forever change. It's like a ring. Where is the beginning of the ring? the more you go around, the more different perspectives you have, but it's the same thing. The chicken or the egg? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes, because and it takes into account, you can think of it like evolution, yeah? Could you say that the chicken was when the earth was formed, yeah? Did it not come from anywhere? It was earth? No. It was a whole bunch of things in our evolutionary thinking of how the world came to be. Yeah, when a chicken was called a chicken, was that creature always chicken? Or before that was a little reptile? At what point did that egg produce something that changed? It's evolutionary change in time without beginning, and karma does the same. Your consciousness is the same. It's hard to think, you know, and in the West we say at the beginning of the Big Bang, you know, and before that something moved to something that moved. You can't have a moving thing, a changing thing, without a changing thing creating it. Otherwise it would be.
Will you get some better realization of that if you ever directly perceive that?
You what?
If you ever directly perceive that, you get a better.
Oh, completely. You actually have a perception of time being empty, and you causation. You actually see into each lives as your mind will be forced to perceive this being.
But will you see backwards to the beginning?
Yeah, you can, and actually there are meditations you can do to get to that. And one of them is the lion's dance. Have you done that? And it begins to germinate past memory, where you can begin to have a valid perception of what would have caused this experience. And you're going to touch those causes with this meditation.
The best example I've heard of beginningless time was when you wake up in a dream, or like when you're in a dream and there's no beginning to it. But you.
Oh right, yeah. Tell us that.
The best example I've heard of. For beginningless time, is when you wake up in a dream.
How many questions do you need to finish? One more? Are you guys finished? Yeah, we finished? You got a minute. Eyes rolling rapidly. Jack? Yeah? Are you doing okay? Sure.
Where is this?
Manifesting every day, and then she wants to manifest everything, and then she goes to someone like the person that's executing what she is ordered goes to I think Brown and says, okay, she's done it. Keep like changing things forever, like to do something about it. So then between Brahman and it comes.
But your own karma will change, and then you see it as a yeah. Yeah, but because they are empty, the thing projecting reality onto them is a changing thing, then your experience of that is a changing thing. With what? Yeah, it does. It has everything to do with chi jedrak, because the things that are changing are your chis, your mental, your jedraks, sorry, your mental images, your junchis of that thing. That's what karma does. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a very long 10 minutes. was monitoring all the conversations. You guys are weird. Yeah. Michael, how did they do? Yeah. Sure? Yeah, Sophia, how did your group go? You guys had some like discussion. I wanted to jump in there. Can you click the others, please? Yeah. Steve, your group?
It was good.
Yeah, you feeling okay?
No, I feel bad.
Oh, you take care of Steve. Yeah. How about your name?
Aziza.
Huh? Aziza. Okay, cool. Okay, where are the...
Rachel.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Rachel.
Is the front door locked?
Just let everyone know.
I'll take it. Yeah, first to here. Oh, there. Thank you. Ooh. So emptiness is not anything that people are going to teach you at school, at university. It's not something that is intuitive either, even though it is all pervasive and around everything. And you might have heard the word emptiness in Eastern philosophy, but in my experience, it's most of the perceptions we have about this idea, emptiness, is garbage. Yeah. Sorry, it's true. Most of the time I hear people talk about emptiness. It's not what emptiness is. Emptiness is a word, okay? Emptiness is a word that brings up a mental image of an idea that is a positive thing. Yeah, oh, I think I understand emptiness. Most of us, initially I remember thinking, oh, it's blackness. Yeah, I feel empty inside, you know? It's like, and it isn't a positive thing, although the concept of it is a positive thing, it is not a thing. Emptiness is a lack of something. It's an absence of something. It's an absence of a very specific something. It's an absence of something that was never there, could never have been there, and would ever never be there. Thank you again, too. Thank you. And you're not going to get it in one sitting. You are going to get it in one sitting. Yeah, exactly. Right? It'll be which sitting will be that sitting, right? And it's not that sitting, because when you get it, there'll be another sitting.
I heard a really cool analogy today. Can I read it?
Yeah, sure. You take over, class. I don't care.
Just as a starving man cannot be fed by the knowledge of food but needs to eat, so too one needs to experience on meditation the meaning of emptiness.
Amazing, amazing, true. Okay, take a look. It's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, that's from a book called Milarepa, or the Life of Milarepa. Highly recommend. Who's reading that book right now? Everyone read that book, right? There was a secret book club. Yeah, it's a powerful, powerful book. It's actually the first. It's about the first Tibetan student of Buddhist thought, of the ideas from Buddhism that came from India. It's the first Tibetan that actually, they said, became enlightened due to studying and practicing these things. And in his life, he had been a murderer, all sorts of horrible things. And so you'd think it would be hard for someone with such a vile nature to tame their mind completely and reach a state of wisdom where they are, in fact, enlightened. So it's a magical story. It's like a powerful story, and it's still got relevance to our life today. The big, I'll kill the...
Don't.
Okay. At the end, he gets enlightened. It's like Titanic. You can't go watch the movie. You know they're all going to drown. You know he gets enlightened. So, listen, give yourselves credit for for the fact that you are even bothering to keep focused on such an elusive thing as this powerful idea of emptiness that can it is the basis for enlightenment. A synonym for emptiness is wisdom. Whenever you hear the Dalai Lama say wisdom, whenever you hear Buddha say wisdom, they are talking about the wisdom which recognizes the ultimate nature of everything without exception, and that is called emptiness. And it's not a thing, it's the fact that you come to realize that there is nothing under the sun of your consciousness that could ever exist the way you think it exists without your mind labeling it, calling it, grabbing onto it in a certain way. There is nothing here. That's what it means to have no self, no this. There's no computer. Of course there's a bloody computer. I can smash you over the head and it would hurt, yeah? But there's no computer, there's no head. Fine, right? It's a misunderstanding to think emptiness means nothingness, yeah? It's not true. This is a thing, and it's only a thing relevant to us because our mind forces us to have this thing, because it has no nature of being that thing. Prove it. The elephant that stepped on it didn't see it as a computer. If it was a computer radiating, projecting computerness, the elephant would go, ooh, computer, yeah? And nothing is like that. And this is as obvious as it is, okay? It sounds obvious and we dismiss it, but it's profound. As obvious as it is that nothing has a nature and everything comes from our engagement with it, we miss it because it's so, yeah, but there is a computer. Yeah, I didn't say there wasn't. You said it's projected from me. Yeah. But if the elephant doesn't see a computer, there's no computer. Yeah. It's a stepping stone. Yeah. It's a stepping stone and a computer. That can't be. It's one thing. That's right. It is what one thing. It is not a computer for those that are forced to see it as a computer. It is not a stepping stone for those that are forced to see it as a stepping stone. The elephant did not sit there and go, I would like a new stepping stone that has a key. You know, you don't choose computer. You don't choose. And like this, so if you can hold that thought as a basis for wisdom, the wisdom that will exit you out of suffering, the wisdom that will really stop all the hurt, the wisdom that really will get you awakened, enlightened, Buddha'd, yeah, awakened, Buddha'd. If you can hold to that about this stupid example, you then have to get used to it, discuss it in classes like this, think about it, get computers hitting your head, going, it's empty, it's empty. Whatever you need to do to get that knowledge down, once you get the essence of it, once you sniff the trail of it, you'll become obsessed with trying to figure that out about this object and that object and this object, the thing you love the most, this you, yeah? This you that is so precious, you feed it, you wash it, you punch other people to protect it, you know? That is also exactly the same as this. It has no nature. You don't exist. What? Yeah? The way you think you do. As a solid human thing that will always be human, has always been human, and then will stop being human, and then that's it. That does not exist. That is not possible. Just like this is not possible. Why? Because this you is empty of having that nature. Which part of me? The body. Let's go the body you. Yeah, this ain't you. This never was you. I can show you a picture of you 10 years ago. It's not you. That picture, if that picture of you was you, then why aren't you that? Yeah? And the mind that is right now thinking, or the mind that this morning was upset, or the mind that this morning woke up happy, or the mind that's going to bed tonight thinking of stuff. That mind isn't you either. Not like that. Something is forcing those experiences upon you. Because those things are empty. Just like this, you are empty, your mind is empty, your body is empty. And because of that, it can change. And because we don't know what we did to make it this way, we are just lost in an ocean of whatever the hell comes my way. I'll try this, it didn't work out. I'll try this, it didn't work out. I'll try this, it worked out. It must be this, yeah? And we are mistaken because we think this is forcing my reality. And every time we did something, our consciousness records it, grabs it, and is preparing to project it on otherwise empty objects and give you an experience of them like a stepping stone or a computer. It came from previous moments of the mind's experiencing things. And that is the opposite side of emptiness. Because things are empty, what's making them the way they are? It's called dependent origination. Things are what they are, dependent on the things originating from your mind that you did towards others in the past. Yeah, towards your world, whatever you did. Oh, if I lie to her, she won't know I lied to her and I'll get away with something. I got away with something. The result of getting away with something did not come from the lie I just gave her. Because getting away with something is a result of something before that my mind projected now onto this otherwise empty experience. But the lying just went into my mind and sometimes later will ripen on experiencing somebody lying to me. And I want to know why are you lying to me? I didn't do anything to you. Yeah, because of the time delay that it causes mind to project what you planted.
So it has to match. Life has to produce life all the time.
All the time. There's the laws of karma, there's all this stuff, and it's not a mystery, you know. The basic idea is that you plant tomato seeds in the ground, you ain't getting bananas. You will get tomatoes, yeah? You plant apples, you will not get oranges. You will get, I can do that analogy to no end, yeah? You record in your mind loving kindness. Yeah, oh, I like you, nice to meet you. Yeah. I'm watching my mind doing this, right? Like we're doing it right now. You don't have to be trying. You are doing it right now. Whatever your mind is aware of, that's being imprinted on your mind right now. Yeah, and you're getting it back, all of it,
When?
soon and expanded. Yeah. So as you put seeds in the ground, tomatoes, I like tomatoes. I don't like eggplant. No, I love eggplant. I love eggplant. You're an eggplant. Yeah. Etc., etc. Those things must come later. And they will not be different. And just like those courses, a course is a tiny imprint in your mind. Once it takes root with time and your mind feeds it, yeah, a cause gives a result. Fair or not? A seed will give a tree or a treeling or a plant. The result is always bigger than the cause. When you do something equal and opposite reaction. Equal and opposite reaction. Yeah? Instead of me doing it that way, it comes this way. What the hell? That we know this, parts of this in Western thinking. Anyway, I digress. What I wanted to say is awesome for thinking emptiness. The other side of emptiness is karma or dependent origination, or the crap you do in your mind that's being recorded, and the good stuff you do in your mind that's being recorded. Everything you've ever done and everything you'll ever do, whether you like it or not, you're aware of that. And you can't escape it. You've planted it. You're planting it. And that is what causes your world. You want to stop a world that hurts you? Stop hurting your world. End of story. It's hard. They're hurting me. Yep, it's hard. Otherwise, everyone would be enlightened. But it's really hard when they're really hurting me. Yep, it's really hard when they're really hurting me. Should I not hurt them back? You should hurt them back if they need hurting, but you shouldn't call it hurting. You should avoid getting hurt. You should stop other people hurting. Because they're hurting. If they're hurting you, who are they really hurting? Really, if you understand this truth, everybody that means you harm are just getting it back tenfold or more. And if you separate yourself from disliking them, you're like, poor bastards. The entire world is filled with humans thinking they're hurting someone else and getting away with it, and they're just creating their own hell. and you get some kind of compassion because you're doing the same. And then you look at each other and you're like, we're the same. We're like these blind people with razor blades running around going, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me.
But are there really other beings out there trying to harm you?
Yeah, there are really other beings. Are there really computers hitting you? And there are texts that prove the existence of other consciousnesses. What? I need proof that you have consciousness? Yeah, you have consciousnesses. Will you ever experience her consciousness like she experiences her consciousness? No, in that sense, your experience of hers is it's your mind. It's your projection. Can your mom read your mind?
But you can have the experience that you are validly.
Oh, eventually yes. Eventually yes. Eventually yes. A Buddha will see all objects. Correct.
What is
But that's
that?
In the
because
Dhammapada Sutra, though, he says
Uh,
that there's nobody that you're getting to enlightenment. Like, you know, like how he says it that way.
You're getting to enlightenment. When you get to enlightenment, no one gets to enlightenment.
Yeah.
Emptiness is the same for all because there's only one emptiness.
Emptiness is just the same in any respect. The emptiness of this is exactly 100% the lack
Right.
of this being this.
That's what I'm saying. When you get
This
to,
is exactly the same.
when you get to that awareness, then you're aware of everyone because everyone's the same emptiness.
Everyone is dependent arising, dependent on their karmas. And they can only be that because of their emptiness. Yeah? So it's not that everyone is only emptiness. Everyone's ultimate nature is emptiness. And you will.
I'm talking about when you're saying reading other people's mind and knowing other people. Wanting the Buddha to know that because he knows emptiness. And from that place of emptiness, he can know others.
Well, he has the courses for omniscience. Yeah, that's what it is. It's different to the courses for emptiness.
That's it.
But it's a complicated subject because then we'll go down a rabbit hole. And what I need to know for tonight is that the subject of emptiness is a really heavy but simple. It really is simple. You all just had a realization, intellectual realization of emptiness in all the discussion we just had. Unless you were just thinking of the yodeling kid on Instagram. Yeah? Yeah? Unless you were doing that whilst I was talking, you were having a valid intellectual understanding of emptiness. Sorry.
I'll be doing it now.
You were thinking about the beard. Okay. Who was thinking of the yodeling kid? No. And that is the most powerful foundation for awakening. Because if everything is that, then everything is up for grabs. Everything, without exception, is up for transformation. Even the most painful memories you've ever had, you can look at the emptiness of that, looking back, and if you've planted the right courses, that can transform into an entire history of that woke me up. What a blessing. Being gripped by, feeling trapped by old badnesses can be a complete freedom.
But in the same way, if we're looking back at like a painful memory, we can't just say, oh, I want that to not be painful, right? You have to
plant the courses.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, that's what happens to us. Like, our minds flip from millisecond to millisecond. And if you plant the courses, one of those flips can be an entire rewrite of a certain period of our past. We do that all the time, right? Who's been in a relationship? Put up your hand. But if you've been in a relationship, you loved someone, you kissed them. Yeah? Good. Do you remember when you first met them, how much they were all about it? Yeah? Yeah. Who also has a person they've loved who later on turned out to be the worst person on the planet. I hate them so much. They did all these terrible things to me, and the same human is now the source of all my pain. Who has that experience, yeah? Or the feeling that they cheated on me, or they lied to me, or how could they not like me anymore? I can't believe they farted in bed, or they never used to. Or you've had an argument with that person after 3 years together or 5 years together or whatever it is, and all of a sudden it's not like you choose it, but your mind grabs onto a word that they said, and you're like, I knew it. You were always that way. And before they said those words, you loved them. Yeah? And then upon those words, you reframed everything about them, everything, right? And they were really that way, evil. Yeah? The love hour you had when you were making out with them, that no longer existing, that disappeared when they became evil in your mind. But if you go back in time and you freeze yourself in that hour when you were making out with them and they were all amazing, that was a thing. That was happening or not. But at this time, when you reframe them, that is gone, does not exist. You are now even looking at that kiss as how revolting. How would I ever do that with a creature so vile? It's true. And the problem is that that's our reality.
But we're that creature. We're that vile creature.
This is what this teaching is saying. You are both the awesome creature and the vile creature, and you are the changing from awesome to vile. It's nothing but you. It's an echo of you, but you don't remember doing it. So we're like blind people with razor blades, yeah? And a few flowers, razor blades and a few flowers. Stop here. Licking, right? It's the fact that every, I won't go. Yeah, I want to talk about a completely other subject in less than half an hour, okay? We're reviewing 5 courses. What you just did was review wisdom, the idea of wisdom. There's volumes of it. There's like a third of the Buddhist teaching. If not half of his life, he spent teaching about emptiness. Yeah, we covered it in a 10-minute discussion. I want to talk about vows. And the first thing I want to talk about vows is a problem. Yeah, this is talking about a thing called the bodhisattva vow. I'll cover what those 2 words mean, but the first thing I want to do is I want to make you aware of your mental framing around vow, because it caused me trouble for decades. And it's necessary for you to be aware of, when I say the word vow, what comes up in your mind. So if you're not aware, that thing that comes up in your mind will color the way you engage with this topic. And so I want to kill that straight away so you don't have a wasted decade. Okay. I came from a Catholic background. My mum took vows. She was going to be a nun, right? Obviously made a mistake. 4 mistakes. Or 5 mistakes if you include my dad. Or 1 big mistake with 4 consequences. Anyway, whatever she did.
Unless you were the Immaculate
unless, there you go. Yeah. Which is a valid thing. I want to talk about vows in the West. So in the West, can you all see up there? Yeah. Okay. What's the connotation in your mind for vows? I know for me, being from a Catholic country, it was sort of assumed that vow meant some kind of constraint, some kind of withholding, some kind of going against your nature, right? It really had the implication for me, and I didn't really think about it. I just went along with, here come these Buddhists, and they're like talking about vows, and I'm like, oh, this sounds cool, I'll try it. But there was all these undertones that I didn't understand in me until later, until I saw the results of why am I about vows not doing what I thought they should be doing. So if you're aware of your undertones to vows, if I think vows still now to the Western mind, it's some kind of, you can't do what you really want to do. Yeah, it's like some angry Catholic nun spanking you with something. Like my mum, they used to make her kneel on rock salt, yeah, for 2 hours, and her hands like that, and she'd say her knees would bleed. And when I think vows, I'm like, those nuns took vows, right?
Vows to torture children.
Yeah, exactly. And so because maybe you're not doing what you want to do, or you're restrained or something, you take it out of the little brats. Yeah? I'm sure my mum was no angel, right? But obviously. That's what I thought first of all. I mean, like in the West, we sort of think vows as like the restrictive, constraining thing, and it's not the context when we talk about it in Eastern philosophy. Okay, it is not the same thing. If wisdom works, if enlightenment works, understanding that nothing has a nature, the wisdom you just talked about, things are empty, and because they are empty, blank, they are completely dependent on whatever the hell you've got in your consciousness. Yeah? So then who put that stuff in your consciousness? You did. You're aware of what your intentions are towards everybody, and that are the tomato seeds and the pumpkin seeds. And, yeah. That is the stuff projected. Is that fair? Yeah? The only reality you're having is an echo of what you will intend towards others in the past. That's the only reality you're living in. Someone walks in the room and says, hello, everybody. Some of us are going to think, what a friendly person. Someone's going to think, what an obnoxious piece of ass. What a bunch of us are going to think different things. And that's all dependent on what you intended towards others when you interrupted a class or a room and you go, hello, everybody. And that flavor that you had in the intention is what you're going to actually project here. That's the simplest or most nominal way I can give you that. If that's true, then everything we do matters. Everything we do is important. Everything we do creates our reality. And a vow, the technology of a vow or a promise is for us to get a faster, deeper, more powerful seed planted in our mind, because we choose and become hyper aware of what we promise to do, what our intentions are. So if you make a promise, let's say, I'll make a promise, okay? And I'm probably gonna break it. I don't want to, but because of my past habit, I'm probably gonna break it. I'm gonna make a promise to you now that between now and 8:30 and 9:30, the time that the class will finish, I will not say a rude word. I promise, okay? So I now planted a seed in my mind to try really hard not to do what comes naturally to me, yeah? My mind is now hyper aware of that, yeah? And so is yours probably. You're like, I'm gonna catch him. Well, no. So a promise to not do something or to do something forces your mind to have hyperactivity around that promise, which means it increases the power of that imprint in your mind. It becomes a more powerful seed planting exercise. It's not just a tiny plant that you've planted, it's a massive thing. It has more power, it's likely to come up faster and definitely bigger. It's one of the understandings of karma. So a vow is a technology to force your consciousness to project your reality faster and stronger in the way you intended, yeah? Or in the way that the vows are guiding you towards. So for Eastern philosophy, the implication is not like a constraint or not doing all those terrible things that you really want to do. It's not a holding back in a negative sense. It's an understanding that if everything comes from me, then this list, if you will, of the top things that a human being can think and say and do, this is the top list of just the right actions that will force my mind to get out of the hypnosis of suffering and into a state of awakening, yeah? Because an awakened being, a Buddha and all those after, said these are the things you should take up and give up in order to wake up. Does that make some sense? So in the Eastern context, the implication is it's like two wings. Did I put that up there? It's like this will free you. This has power. This has energy to get you out. This is an exciting thing. Finally, in my blindness with the razor blades and the one or two roses, someone just gave me an instruction on which of the arms to use or not use to get out of the suffering I'm experiencing. Yeah? And it's withhold the razor blades and start giving away the roses. Yeah? Does that help understand it? You have to understand that in the context of Eastern philosophy, vowed morality, particularly the Bodhisattva vows, which is what we're covering tonight and next Thursday, not this Thursday, the following one, this is a faster way to get out of suffering, because you are creating power behind just the right list of activity to do to stop the otherwise stuff we don't understand we're creating. So Buddha said, here's a list of stuff you should do if you want to stop your suffering quickly. So that's the implication here. Yeah.
Can I just ask you to explain once more why it's a speed track to enlightenment? Is the idea of like basically pouring water on your karmic seeds, like making those ones ripen sooner? The thing.
How many actions of body can a human body do? How many possible movements can a body do? A lot. A real lot. How many words or sounds can we make to invoke a reaction in another person? Infinite. Yeah? How many thoughts can a human being have, which your intention reads? Yeah, how many? Infinite, right? It works because an enlightened being who has stepped out of this cycle of suffering says, hey, dudes and dudesses, there's a way out of here. I just found it. It's not like I invented it. I just found it. I did this, this, and that, and this, and the other, and I no longer feel the pain in living that you do, i.e. aging, death, and all the other mental afflictions, 84,000 of them that you probably have. If you want to come this way, do this list of things. Yeah? So for that reason, one, and number two, from a nominal understanding, is putting your attention on something. Like, I'm still trying not to swear. I'm still late. I'm still talking to you. I'm managing my thing. But there's a big portion of this entire talk that my mind is going, don't say the word. I'm enjoying thinking it, right? But I didn't say I wasn't going to think it. So do you understand that? Yeah, cool. Now I want to tell you that vows don't work. They really don't. You're like, why? Well, I'll go more nominally than empty, okay? That sure, there is nothing in the vow from its own side that will force it to function, correct? Yeah? It requires your mind engaging with it, right? No problem. So for example, I wonder if I swore as an example, whether that would be part of breaking the vow or not. See how our minds are already going? If I give you an example of what breaking a don't swear vow would look like, am I breaking that vow? No. If I chose a bad word, a word that I'm not allowed to use right now, yeah, and I gave it to a friend of mine in China who doesn't speak English, would them not using that word create the same effect as me not using that word? Of course not. That's the emptiness of keeping the vow for that, yeah? But that's not really what I'm talking about here. I'm saying that vows don't work, even though, so these are the speed track to waking up, right? The speed track to enlightenment. Bodhisattva vows, the vows of this specific being, a bodhisattva, which I'll cover in a minute, the one that can get you to enlightenment quickly. This is supposed to speed track you out of suffering. Dalai Lama has been giving away these vows all over the world. Yeah, Westerners have taken this after it's come out of the East for decades now. And even though thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people have taken these vows, it might not be working for all of them. I guarantee you it's probably not working for many of them. And it's just for a nominal reason. And the nominal reason is, if you don't know what the vows are, if you don't know really what they are, so Dalai Lama goes and gives initiations and bodhisattva vows, and people go to the ceremony, they get bombed in the head, they get a little red bandana, and then they go home. Is that going to transform your consciousness? You can't. It's just like bing, bing, bing. Is there something in this that's going to transform your consciousness? Your consciousness? No, you need to do something. The only way that vows work is if you know what they are. I know what mine is, right? Don't say those words here. Can I make that happen? Can I make my mind do that thing I promised? That is what makes a vow work. It's my relationship with this gift, this thing, these wings, this precious opportunity to get out of suffering. And these vows in particular, they're obscure, they're weird. They're written 2,500 years ago, collected by Master Asanga through commentaries and the rest, from all sorts of sutras and commentaries going, hey, Buddha said this and Buddha said that. And if you put them together, you get this precious fast track to enlightenment. If you can get your mind to think these ways, these vows, and bring your attention to it, then you're on the way out quickly. But you can't do that if you don't know what they are. And when you do know what they are, they're weird. You still don't know what they are. One example, right, is like don't profess the opposite. Okay? Yeah, so imagine that you did go to one of the Dalai Lama initiations or ceremonies to get a Bodhisattva vow, and you got that vow, you read it. It's like, don't profess the opposite. And then you go home and like, am I breaking that vow? Whatever you're thinking about the vow is highly likely not the vow, unless you understood or got teachings or explained what it's supposed to mean. So most people are probably keeping vows that don't even exist. Like they are keeping vows, but they're not the Bodhisattva vows. Yeah? So it is incumbent upon you, if you understand that things don't have a nature, the stuff things don't come this way. They appear that way 100%. But they're empty of being this. What makes them that? Something in me. Who put it there? You did. How? Through what I said, thought, or did towards others. My awareness catching myself is what puts it there. So out of all the stuff you're putting there, here is a list of stuff that will get you just the right stuff to do to get out of this suffering quickly. What suffering? The one you're having, whether you like it or not. Yeah? So you can't change your world without changing your mind, and vows is a powerful way to change your mind. The world ain't gonna change unless you change. And this is hard work, and that's why it's called practice. I'm going to do my Buddhist practice. Who was it? I had a conversation with someone today. It was about a student of Venerable Rabina in Kopan, who said, like, I haven't really been practicing for the last month. And my thought is like, nearly broke it out. My thought is, you're practicing whether you like it or not. You're planting seeds in your mind whether you like it or not, especially after knowing where your world comes from. You cause your world. What you do to the world is what your world will become after the time delay. How fast is the time delay? It depends how big the seeds are. I'm not really practicing. Breaking the vow. Right?
Especially if you've taken vows.
Of course.
You're like living your life.
And then you're like, oh, I'm back to normal. And it's a complete misunderstanding of this technology. And I'm not asking you to become Buddhists, okay? It's not what I'm saying. I am saying if you understand the reality that everything you experience is literally the result of what you did to others in the past, investigate that idea, then everything you do matters. Everything matters. That's the practice. And pretending you don't know that, isn't going to make that go away. Yeah? And pretending I sort of understand that, but I'm not going to go any deeper, isn't also going to make that go away. It's like saying, I'm going to jump off this airplane because I don't believe in gravity. I heard about gravity, I felt it going up into the airplane, I'm just going to open the door and off I go, because gravity, not believing in it today, I'm not practicing gravity. Yeah. It's true, but this is what it is for us, yeah? And you don't have to be a Buddhist, but because these vows, these promises are hard or obscure, and they get at the very root of what causes very specific suffering for us, it's incumbent on you to really get to what they mean, yeah? They are difficult to break, these vows, but you can break them, and if you do, there are consequences. Okay. So, did I impress that upon you strong enough? That was my main job for this thing. I've only got 20 minutes not to say a rude word. And impart wisdom on the side. My number one is keep the vow. The second is impart wisdom. Okay. So, what have I got? I want to tell you where this comes from. When you see number 1 or number 2 in little circles, it might be questions on your homework relating to this page. So feel free to snap a shot. And the quiz that you're going to come together with next time we meet will be some of these questions, okay? So there's a root text. I didn't make it up. I'm not allowed to make any of this stuff up. This is actually stuff that has been studied for 2,500 years, right? And the latest iteration comes from the Highway to the Bodhisattvas. This course came from Highway to the Bodhisattvas, written by J. Tsongkhapa in the years 1357 to 1419. Cool. Nice, okay? It's good to know this figure, J. Tsongkhapa, is like, how do I describe J. Tsongkhapa in Western terms? He's like the Socrates of Tibetan Buddhism. He's like a being that collected all these philosophies and ideas and says, look, this makes sense only this way, that way, that way. What we've developed over the last 500 years or so, between when the Buddha taught and now, these misunderstanding, because prove it, and he really reformed Buddhist thought that was getting a little wild in Tibet at the time. So he was like a great reformer and collector, and he's the one that taught the first Dalai Lama. And so the lineage of the Dalai Lamas comes from J. Tsongkhapa. So just so you know, it doesn't come from nowhere. It also comes from commentaries from the 10th Dalai Lama. And I'm not going to teach you the vows in detail. I'm going to give you a reference to them both on my website and on the knowledge base, so you can get some commentary. And I'm also happy to share my teacher's notes, which have notes on other commentaries and other content on the vows.
Hector, who's the 10th? Is it Prabhupada?
No, the Prabhupada is not the, I don't remember his name actually. The 10th Dalai Lama. There's no, then by numbers. So bodhicitta is what word we have to know to understand what a bodhisattva is. A bodhisattva is somebody who has bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is the kind of motivation it's the motivation you need to have to take these vows. You want to get bodhicitta, to take these vows, to actually keep these promises and recognize them working in your life. You want to have this motivation to get bodhicitta, become a bodhisattva. That's why they're called bodhisattva vows. Cool? A bodhisattva is translated, what's bodhi? Bodhi. Sattva. Or chitta, bodhicitta, chitta, mind. Awakened mind, but it's not the translation here, okay? Does anyone give me, those that studied before, give me the definition of bodhicitta by Lord Maitreya?
The wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all living beings. Correct,
okay. So I want to make a difference here between the retreat we just had in Nicaragua, which was all about kindness. Yeah, we talked about compassion. We talked about being good. And I want to differentiate that very good quality and good motivation from actual bodhicitta, or the wish. Yeah? Kindness or good, what are you going to do when you're doing kindness? If everything you get is what you do, what are you going to get when you be kind? Pretty nice, right? Pretty good stuff. Yeah. What if you're kind to everyone? What will experience everyone being to you? Yeah, cool. Nice. It sort of smells like this, but it's not this. The definition is the wish, the fervor, the passion, the drive, the energy that says, I need to get enlightened. I need to wake up from these cycles of suffering. Now, I need to do it in this lifetime. My life is all about this. Everything I think and say and do is going to be about reaching a permanent state of awakening. No, I'm done with suffering. So it's this wish, it's this drive, it's this thing you wake up with. It doesn't come from nowhere. You have to habituate it. Yeah? You want to get to that point where everything is about waking up for the sake of every living being that is also suffering just like me. Whatever you don't like about your life, everyone else doesn't like about their life. You're not alone. Everyone is exactly in the same, almost breaking my bell boat. Yeah? So imagine that you actually had a state of mind that all you thought was, I just want to fix it. If it doesn't have a nature, then everything I don't like does not need to be that way. If everything is empty, then everything that I don't like does not need to be that way. For real. And we just proved that things are empty. So things you don't like don't have to be that way. All of them. You don't have to leave any out. I don't want my dad to die. That doesn't have to happen that way either. That's radical. Yeah. I want to wake up in one lifetime. I want to do it this. Before this body breaks, I want to have a moment of mind that shows me I can be free from this. Yeah. Things don't have a nature. That's what the point of these things are. So bodhicitta is this wish, this fervor, this drive to say, I'm done with the old way of doing things. You're still going to have to do the things you need to do. You need to feed this body, you need to work this body, you need to have friends that are upset, and you need to take care of it. You're still going to do all those things. They're not going away. You're here. Yeah? But just like all I'm thinking about now is not breaking my promise to you, I'm still teaching the class, but there's this flavor about the entire thing that says, don't say those words. Yeah, notice how I'm trying to make you think them. Yeah. That's like, but that's how mine trying to cheat and going, see if I can hint at the word, and then everybody can have it as a bubble above their head in big bright letters. Anyway. I'm looking at all your bubbles above your heads. Some of you, I can't. But what I'm saying here is that I'm living my life right now. I'm sharing, I'm saying words, clicking on computer, moving pages, moving my body, moving my tone. I'm doing my life, which is going to work, having relationships, being nice to your mom and dad, feeding your body. You're going to do all those things. But there's a flavor tonight for my talk that is more intense for me than it is for you, which is don't do that habit, which is say those words. Yeah? And they live together. But it's coloring everything I do. And the vows are the same. You can still have your life. In fact, it should get better if you color it with these promises that can get you out of suffering, out of all the things you don't want. Whilst you watch the world give you the things you don't want. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah? Cool. So, in 7 minutes, I need to tell you that there is a bunch of vows, and there'll be a question on your homework that says, Jason Kappa in his commentary says, there are people that say when they take the higher level vows, there are broadly 3 sets of vows. This series of vows called the Pratimoksha vows, which mean individual freedom, which all the vows that monks and nuns get, novices get, like lay people get, one-day vows, like all these things are Pratimoksha vows. All the base levels you make to stop suffering. These are called Pratimoksha vows. That's level 1. It basically boils down to all the big obstructions between you and happiness. You just remove those big boulders from your roadway to enlightenment. Yeah, it's like, stop hurting people, don't kill, don't, it's like, because the result of that would be the opposite of that. Yeah, you don't harm bodies, your body don't get harmed. So these are basic necessities to get to enlightenment. The next level up vows are these bodhisattva vows, which this course is about. And those vows are much more fine-tuned. They target very specific things in our states of mind that can, if addressed, can quickly get us out of suffering. And then there are secret vows, these are tantric vows, yeah? And these are the 3 sets of vows. And there was a time in Tibet and in India where practitioners of the secret vows were saying, I don't need to keep all those lower vows now that I'm like a super person and I've got all these very special vows. Those other things don't matter. Yeah, keeping my morality or my view or my promises from the Pratimoksha vow or the Bodhisattva vows are not important, because now I've got these secret vows which will free me very, very fast. Not just fast, but very, very fast. Yeah, and so there was this debate around, is that true? Is it true that once you reach a higher level of focusing your mind, you can just let go of all the base earlier vows? And what's your instinct on that? Why?
Because they build on each other.
So the first vows are about not harming life, etc.
They still function in your world. If your mind still sees those vows as those vows when you first took them, then you have to keep them. Like if you still see like doing a thing in the world, like if you see yourself, I don't know if we'll be able to explain this with words. If you see yourself harming life and it's harming life, then you're breaking a vow. But
yeah, but they say
do something that looks that way to someone else, but in your mind it is completely different and it is virtual.
Yeah, but they got these secret vows which are so much higher than that base thing.
Well, in that sense, then of course what you're saying. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how I can articulate it not. I think what you're saying is like if you see yourself, like when you're planting all of these seeds, you're the one seeing yourself doing these actions. So if you see yourself doing something that is inherently violent,
you must get the result.
You must receive that inherent violent or negative thing. But if you have, I don't think it's about the secret vows, I think it's about your mindset. And if your mindset has changed and you can see everything as blissful, even if it's an act of what other people might see as violence, then you will only receive bliss. Or like kind. Yeah, but then not just blissful. Yeah, because you could be.
I love it because this is the exact debate that people were having and the misconstruing that was happening at the time. What was your reply?
Well, based on what we're just saying there, that makes Hitler okay because his actions.
Correct. He's like, assuming he was a higher being.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, he was keeping his vow of purifying the world.
Yeah.
They have to because you can't break the laws of karma.
Correct. Your mind is still recording a life being harmed. Can't escape that just because someone told you a little secret mantra.
Well, the Buddha killed someone.
Yeah, but he accepted the consequences of those actions. And he said it, I was prepared to take, and he had time down in the lower realms as a result of that karma, and he took it.
Well, we talked about like the direct perception of emptiness, and you can see that everything is inherently empty.
Yeah.
And like, let's say you don't perceive what other people see as violence. So then you wouldn't be perceiving what you're saying are consequences.
Then you are not doing if you're really not doing a violence, you are not doing you don't have the causes for violence. You're just not having violence around. The Buddha doesn't have violence around him. as violence.
The big part of Buddhism that I'm slowly learning to accept, it took years as I used to say, that can't be. The biggest emphasis is on intention. It's not on the action per se, it's the intention behind the action that is so important.
So Hitler's okay.
If he had his intention of being good.
He did. He wanted to free the world from terrible things.
Yeah, but that, I don't believe he really did, because I should say he plenty of.
No, he did. He really did. I mean, our current president wants to get rid of people that are not so nice. Let's get rid of them. Let's put the wall up. Good intention. Let's save America.
No, but that's not
No, but because.
It is a good intention. Let's save America.
But it's not being kind. How are you protecting life from being violent? If I'm Hitler, how do I?
You had to go there, right?
I did.
I am so
I'm
close.
sorry.
No, that's good.
Don't break it.
I know, I'm so close.
Do you believe what you're saying?
Can you still see them as human,
Devil's advocate.
and you see yourself as a human that doesn't want to die, then there's still a subtle negative harm. Even if you feel that you're doing this great thing.
I am telling you that this question is vital, okay? It's vital for knowing how to take up your mind when making a promise. If you are perceiving harming, or that other perceive this as harming, you already have the seed of harm. Like it or not like it. Yeah, if there's an element. So let's take Hitler's example. Yeah, let's assume that he thought he was cleansing the world. Did the millions of lives that he destroyed, did they suffer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and was there subsequent?
Well, we don't know
suffering?
because we're not on.
No. You can tell whether or not a child crying because their parent is shot in the head is suffering. Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah, is that a suffering?
If that being is a human.
That being was a human. Like you're perceiving them as a human.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Then of course, right? So is there a conception, is there an awareness that a living, moving, smiling thing with a baby all of a sudden is no longer smiling, living? Like, does your mind record that action after you turn on the gas?
Of course.
Can you avoid that reality that you just witnessed?
No.
No. So based on my intention, stop that moving thing with the baby. Yeah, I actually achieved the goal that I wanted, which is stop the thing with the baby. And look, now the baby's crying. That is a suffering. It's a terrible suffering.
And that was part of the Nazi philosophy, was to have them die tortured life, not to have a painless death.
But what I'm saying is, even if I had the main motivation is I'll fix the world, the main motivation in this act was not I'll fix the world. That might have been the overarching intention. No problem with that. But the actual intention for turning the handle and watching the results of my action, I can't escape. The intention is turn that life off.
Right.
And that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and do it in a way that would hurt.
Right.
Do it and do it, and do it in a way that would torture. Okay, do it. That's the fact.
Right.
Yeah. My mind, even if I'm telling everybody, no, this is really good, people. Yeah. I am watching. My mind is recording that reality. It ain't going anywhere. Other people can debate whether it was a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
That doesn't matter to this consciousness that turned the handle, or directed the turning of the handle, or supported the turning of the handle. And that's exactly the same with every one of our actions. So here's Lama Tsongkhapa's answer to the big debate whether or not it's okay to say, because I am now taking this very high tantric secret vow, I don't have to keep my morality. He says it's like a hailstorm on the fresh new crops of Lhasa or something. It's like you just imagine that you began your journey on germinating just the right karmas, just the right seeds. You've planted just the right things to begin to transform your mind to awakening, and all these seeds are coming up like a field of fresh new seedlings. Thinking that you could do harm, like you don't need to keep that to go faster, it is like just drowning that out with hailstorms. You're destroying the very fact of the point of doing these things in the first place, which is to get enlightenment, which is to have complete bliss, not bliss just for us that are not Jews. You see what I mean?
Right.
just to take us even further down the rabbit hole, wasn't this debate, a lot of it centered around like the culture of chastity and sexuality and things in which like people were maybe more open with and
no, not this.
Okay.
No, completely different. Yeah, the tantric vows had to do with other stuff, which I can't talk about. Okay. I can't in this class. They're secret for a reason. I can tell you what they are. They won't mean anything. You actually need to understand the foundation of what makes them function. So there's sort of a self-keeping secret. I can open a book, show you, but it won't mean until you've coded those words with these vows, actually, with the Bodhisattva vows, to give you the realization of what they could become, because they don't have a nature. Yeah. So tantric practice and tantric vows and that way of living is an advanced way of using what you've already built. So you can't discard the foundation. Yeah, is essentially what Lama Tsongkhapa was saying.
Just saying one thing more. That debate still goes on today.
Of course it does. Yeah, absolutely. But this is the position of the Gelugpas, the Dalai Lama, and frankly, the Buddha himself. Yeah. So and logic, and logic. You can have the debate, and we might mean slightly different things with the debate, but harm gives you harm. I mean, Anthony said it best. The laws of cause and effect don't disappear. You can jump out of the airplane, not believe in gravity, but sorry.
No, I would, I would think that debate would, in my opinion, end with the question, would you like that to be done to you? It's like, so if you say yes, then in my opinion, you'd be lying, but most people will just agree with that.
It's interesting you say that. Oh, it's such an awesome conversation. Some people might say yes, but that might not be of the right mind. Mm-hmm. So then there's an additional layer of meaning here, is that your mind has to actually be not deluded, not on drugs, not crazy. Like it's got to be a clear mind. It's got to be a mind that is not affected by things that would make it a mind in disaccord with reality. Big debate. Okay. 2 things. He was doing it on purpose, right? To make me break my vow. By the way, my vow is not broken. It's 9:31. I'm going to stick to the vow until I finish class. Okay. Sorry I didn't get to your question. Yeah. So here's a list of people who can grant you the vows. Basically, there are 2 ceremonies that have traditionally been given to produce the effect that these vows can have in your consciousness. But they say it's not necessary for a person to be an ordained person. It can be a male or female, although it's okay, it's good if they are ordained, because they're probably keeping vows themselves, and that's really the essence here. It's preferable if they are the ones that can give you or already have tantric vows, because they know exactly how to frame your mind to get the result that you need in order to get a tantric experience, although you don't need to have these vows to get a tantric experience. They should know the vows well. They should have a bodhisattva intention. The beings giving you the vows should already be living in a way that is, let's take care of as many beings as possible so we can all wake up. Yeah. They should know how the ceremony, master the teachings, understand bodhicitta well, able and willing to take care of the students as they go through overcoming the issues related to managing their minds and so on. No attachment, respect for their own vows, not be easily upset, and not being lazy, meaning they should have joy for doing good things, etc., etc. Who are the beings who can take the vows? And this, to me, is the beautiful thing, is people who really want to take them do, obviously. Have a compassionate nature. If you're a being who as a child you were upset because people were harming animals, or you saw other children upset and you ran over to protect them, and there's an impulse in you, a karma in you, already seeds in you to want to take care of beings that are being harmed or so on. You already have the qualities to take these vows. These are the only vows you can sort of teach before giving them. So you should know the vows and how to keep them, and are based in morality, essentially the 10 virtues, which if kept well can actually force a tantric experience. I'm going to give you a photograph of, and there are 2 ceremonies which I covered. One is the ceremony to say, okay, I commit to the theory that it's possible, but if I keep my mind in a certain way, if I think if I think a certain way, my life will change. So I want to commit to the thinking of that. I want to commit to the idea of that. So the first ceremony is a ceremony that says, okay, I'm willing to buy the theory, yeah? And I like the idea that, and see if anything happens to my mind while I do that. Traditionally, you'd keep that for a year before actually taking the vows in the form of action, which is, okay, I'm ready to act in the world as if I had this ideal of wanting to wake up for the sake of all beings. Does that make sense? Yep. The 2 ceremonies. I'll give you a quick list of the first 9 and then the next 9, and we'll review these next class, so don't worry about it. And I'm just going to do a quick commentary on the first one, okay? Can someone read the first vow for me? It's a little small on my screen.
Praising yourself or criticizing others.
Great, that's the vow. Praising yourself or criticizing others. If you didn't understand the real meaning of this vow, I just told you these vows are supposed to fast track us out of suffering, right? What I didn't tell you is that if you break these vows in this lifetime, if you fully break these vows, you can't reach the direct perception of emptiness in this lifetime with bodhicitta. It's impossible for you to get bodhicitta in this lifetime. You have to wait up if you break any of these vows, okay? The root vows. That's what they say. If that's true, someone read the first vow again.
Praising yourself or criticizing others.
We're all guilty of that. That was what I was going to say. It's not what I was going to say. I was going to say something worse. But yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but it was somewhere in between. Yeah. The first 4 vows have 2 vows in each, and I'll talk about it and I'll share the commentary with you. But in essence here, praising yourself and criticizing others has a very specific meaning in relation to praising yourself not as a truth and putting others down, specifically teachers of other traditions, yeah, by saying, you shouldn't go to them, you should come to me because I am better than them, with the motivation that you should give me money and material gain and all this other stuff. And I'm lying that you shouldn't go to them, that they are terrible people or the rest. So it's very specific. It's not like you would interpret it, because you said we're all guilty of that. It's true, we all praise ourselves and criticize others, but that's not the vow, the promise you're trying to hold. Understanding that is key for it working to give you a result. Yeah, the result of not putting down other practices that might lead others to enlightenment will force your practice to enlightenment to work. Yeah, it's not about, hey, I'm nice and he's not. Yeah, but it's about the implication that saying, from personal gain, for me to win right now, which is a complete misconception, I should put him down. So you all think I'm great and quickly give me cash. Yeah, or something like that. So like that, failing to give dharma and material assistance is the same thing. Who walks past the people on the subway and don't give them money? right? You'd be breaking this vow if they want material assistance. If you didn't understand it, and that's not what the vow means. It's not that. Yeah, it's very specific. You're trying to catch your mind to a very specific thing. In this case, is not giving people dharma meaning an ultimate truth, a real reality, a true understanding of where things come from. People are asking you to teach them something you know, and you refuse out of a sense of holding it all to yourself. I don't want them to know, which is the opposite of how this works, right? So you on purpose choose to keep it to yourself so you can be better than them, yeah, which is not the result you're going to want. The result from that is not going to be the one you want, right? The second part is on material assistance. There's all these specific meanings. If you're the very last person that needs, that can possibly help this person, got no help at all, if you actually have the capacity to help them in the way that they need help, and you want to keep it just to hoard your stuff instead of you needed to pay rent or food or the rest. You see, it's very specific because it should address a very specific part of your mind that relates to waking you up, having material, yeah, etc., etc. So it's not a generality. These vows are specifically targeted to key areas of your mind that, if together woken up, you would begin to have experiences that are beyond normal. Yeah. I'm going to give you the second 18, just for you to take the second 9 for you to take a few pictures. Don't take them at face value. They are codes to the codes in your mind.
How do you know when someone's not mentally prepared to?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question. For that, you have to read the things that I can't cover in this class, because this course takes 10 weeks, yeah? Quick summary, that particularly refers to a person who's already got the wish for enlightenment, yeah? Was already a Mahayana practitioner, who after you giving them a very in-depth explanation of emptiness, level 12 emptiness or something, they are so overwhelmed that they then leave their wish to practice the way they were practicing and take up a different practice, and you watch them do it. It's very specific. Yeah? So if we use this vow, for example, the Dalai Lama teaches emptiness all the time. Why isn't he breaking his vow? Yeah? So there's a way to understand the vow, and each one will specifically target. There are a few vows that are very vital and important, and I'll just put them up and we can talk about them next time we meet. Yeah. Oh, look, that one. Here's your answer. Feel free to take a pic. And no, too late. Did I do it? Is it up there?
Yeah.
No.
It's not up there?
The 13th is still up there.
Which one do you want? 11th.
Thank you.
Is it there?
Yeah.
Not yet?
12, unlucky number.
No, these are just ones that have really serious consequences. Yeah. So I separated them to give you a few examples, because I don't have 10 weeks to teach you them in detail. Although we do have a 10-week course that teaches them in detail. I'm going to give you my cheat sheets on these. I'll put them up on the Facebook group. Do you remember Facebook, everyone? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Before they started sharing everything that they were already sharing. You got 13?
Yeah.
I got 3 more minutes and then we're done. Here comes 9th, 8th, and the 9th. And 18th. And here's the meaning of 18th. And I just want to leave it there. My main goal today was not to say the word and. It was just to impress upon you that there's a difference between making a promise and making a promise that you know will free your mind. Yeah. So you can make a promise, I'm not going to swear in class, but you can make a promise that says, because I understand the wisdom which perceives all of reality, and I understand that these specific things can give me a result that would force my mind to see reality in a way that is sublime and beyond suffering, There's a difference there. Your mind will be held in the same way, but the results of one are going to be very different to the results of another. Yeah? It's one thing to give someone a buck, and there's another difference to say, I've got a buck, and someday today I'm going to, some point today I'm going to give it. Your mind is forever imprinting in your mind, give, 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 give. Your entire day is colored with giving. The power of the vow is a freeing, opening, powerful thing. It will free you. But if you don't do it, it won't free you. And if you don't understand what you're doing, you might be saying, I'm not going to praise myself anymore. That's not what the vow says, you see. You should praise yourself when you're doing awesome. Congratulations, no problem. Yeah?
For 18, I've never seen it as turning someone away from the Mahayana. Like I thought, because we've talked about this one before, I thought it was like believing that you can't become enlightened, or saying like, I'm just not going to try anymore.
Read the commentary. Yeah, it's in the reading. Okay.
I guess like including telling yourself.
You're one of the many people also.
And then the preference for the Hinayana path is important in breaking it up.
I'm not giving you a commentary on the vow. Have the reading. Are we ready?
Yes.
Whatever you did today, including not swearing, dedicate it for the sake of other beings having a wake up. Okay?
Oh.
That's okay, we're just about to finish. Yeah.
Sashi
Puhia Jushin Metal Drum Rirav Linshir Yindegam Pati Sange Shindu Mite Dewarki Drogen Namda Shinla Chuparsho Hidam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami
Kewa
Diyokun Sunam Yashe Soksoksin Sunam Yashe Junwe Rampa Kuni Toparsho. Thank you so much for being part of tonight. Sorry I went over. I hope you got to get the sense that there is real power in your mind, and you can even make it more powerful with vows. And these vows in particular. I'll see you not this Thursday, although there is class this Thursday. Venerable Stephen.
Vulnerable Stephen.
Vulnerable Stephen. Vulnerable Rachel are going to share. Is there anyone else that we volunteered? Vulnerable Sarah, and anyone else of the people that want that are willing to share are going to share a specific thing in relation to this wish, the meditations and the context of the retreat we did in Nicaragua. We spent 10 days going really in depth in powerful meditations. How were the meditations? Amazing, right? And you could learn them this Thursday with this powerful group of people. And you can discuss any of these things and pull up the readings and debate the meaning of each. There's power there.
When did the Buddha start wearing underwear?
I know, it's really cool. I know. It's like, yes. So I encourage you to please come on Thursday, bring friends. It's a much like the beginning of class, a sharing and talking from people that have been studying this for a while now. Now, and Supriya, I forgot. You will be here? You will not be here. Not Supriya, I did forget. Goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas. I'll be happy to. Thanks for asking. Yeah. You can hang out if you have questions.
Which one?